All right, it's about 9:02. We'll call the McLeod County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. I'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, again, good morning, everyone. We'll start with consideration of agenda items. Is there any corrections or additions?
I have no changes, Mr. Chair.
Move to approve agenda, Mr. Chair.
Motion made by Commissioner Smalls to approve. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Commissioner Nagel. Any discussion? Hearing none. We'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda. Any corrections or additions to it? Motion made by Commissioner Nagel to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Payment of the bills this month is Commissioner warrants are $43,007.68. Motion made by Commissioner Wright to pay bills. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Smalls. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. COVID-19. Barrett. Good morning, Barrett.
Good morning. So my report today, as of Monday, yesterday, Monday, December 20th, McLeod County has had a total of 7,739 positive cases since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. That is an increase of 1,039 new cases in the last month. 10% of the new cases in the past 14 days were children under the age of 18. Of the new cases, 14 people needed to be hospitalized and 0 were admitted to the ICU. There are currently 142 active cases that require isolation, and unfortunately, we have had 86 COVID-19 related deaths since the start of the pandemic, which is 4 more since my last report. As a reminder, continue to check out our COVID-19 dashboard on our new county website. It is linked there for more statistics and updated every Monday. In regards to our county vaccination efforts, we continue to provide vaccines here at the McLeod County Government Center on a weekly basis. To date, we have held 81 vaccination clinics and administered a total of 10,419 doses. That includes first doses, second doses, third doses, and boosters of Moderna and Pfizer. We have 1 vaccination clinic scheduled this week for tomorrow, the 22nd. We are offering Moderna for 18 plus and Pfizer for 12 plus, and also Pfizer for the 5 to 11 age range. And again, information on our vaccination clinics are on the county website and updated on a regular basis. As far as vaccination statistics for the county, as of last week, December 16th, 57.6% of the people in McLeod County have received at least 1 dose of a vaccination. Our 5 plus population were at 61.2%. Our 12 plus population were at 66.5%. Our 16 plus population were at 68.4%, and our 65 plus population were at 92%. Those numbers continue to creep by 0.5% or 1% each week. Last week, on December 15th, we celebrated our 1-year anniversary of providing COVID vaccinations in the state of Minnesota. And we got a nice, all local public health within the state got a nice letter from Commissioner Malcolm thanking us for our continued efforts in administering COVID-19 vaccines. I just want to read a few statements from her letter. According to the CDC, Minnesota leads the Midwest in percentage of total population fully vaccinated and the percentage of people age 18 and older that are fully vaccinated. Minnesota is the second in the country for total population with a booster dose and leads the nation in 65 and older population with the booster dose. Nearly 30% of children 5 to 11 years old have gotten at least one COVID-19 vaccine dose since becoming eligible last month, making Minnesota a leader in the Midwest and the nation for vaccinating that age group. We want to thank all the providers and partners who have helped us efficiently and equitably make sure Minnesota can get their COVID-19 vaccination. We would not be able to do this without you, said Department of Health Commissioner John Malcolm. We also recognize that this pandemic is not over, and we realize how critical it is for all people to get vaccinated, get boosted, and use other known prevention strategies to slow the spread and prevent further hospitalizations and deaths from the virus. Any questions?
Board, any questions for Barrett? I just may comment on, people that talk to me are wondering about the testing. The COVID testing is and I see the Minnesota map. Is that Hutchinson that's still pointed or still dotted on the map out on the west side of the metro, or
For testing?
yeah,
So we're still doing testing at the Hutchinson Armory, or I should say the state is still doing testing at the Hutchinson Armory. It's typically Thursdays and Fridays of every week. This week and next week, it's going to be Thursdays only because of the holiday.
okay, and you have no, as far as any other way to get tested is,
There are, through your healthcare provider, there are private entities as well that can do testing.
okay. That and then other comments were the accuracy. There's been a lot on the news on the accuracy of the quick test that you can buy, and I guess they're kind of touch and go. They stock the shelves and they're gone, and then they're back and gone or whatever. But
Yeah, I happened to be at Walmart last night and I saw that they had a bunch of the rapid tests, so I did pick up some so we can test before we go to visit family for Christmas.
Sure. Any other questions for Barrett? Thank you, Barrett.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Yeah, same to you. The jail. Will. Good morning, Will.
Good morning. I'm here today to request approval for myself to attend the 2022 American Jail Association Conference that will be held in Long Beach, California on May 21st to the 25th of 2022. Total cost is not to exceed $2,500 with funds coming from the jail training budget. The cost will include airfare, hotel meals, registration fees. The conference will have over 70 different workshops, which I will be able to attend, a variety of those, from suicide prevention, reentry program, dealing with COVID, etc.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I do want to note that I spoke with the sheriff about this, and he did note that our previous jail captain did go to the same conference and that he is in support of our Captain Will Feltman attending. And I just want to note that for you since he's not here today.
Thank you. Wishes of the board?
Mr. Chair, move to approve request.
Motion made by Commissioner Schmaltz to approve the request. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Commissioner Nagel. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sheriff's Office, Kevin, Emergency Management Director.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Here before you briefly this morning to seek approval to approve our updated emergency operations plan here for October 2021. It went through some kind of name changes, so we made sure we had our current offices changed. We had, instead of Highway Department, we call it Public Works. Instead of Public Health, we called it Health and Human Services. We changed our Emergency Operations Center name of our primary EOC here. Just come to logistical changes like that. One of the biggest changes we probably did this year is actually do a pet sheltering annex update, and that estimated numbers of how many dogs, cats, and birds we have across McLeod County. So we got some updated numbers and just kind of general updates as well. So really nothing to really report. We are going to be scheduled in 2022 to do a regional review committee, and this is made up of agencies and responders and hazardous facilities around southwest Minnesota that will actually look at our plan coming up for next year. So we're going to be ahead of the game and ready to go on that. So, any questions?
What does that mean? You did an audit of birds that are like in pet shelters, or what do you mean?
What we did is, there's a formula out there that I found that estimates how many dogs, cats, and birds, et cetera, that we have in our counties based on our population, based on the number of our households. So at least we have an idea of if there's a part of a community that's affected, how many dogs are we going to have to do? So we actually have an annex specifically just for pets. How do we deal with pets, and where do we shelter them, and how do we kind of get our arms around taking care of those family members as well. So.
My curiosity's got me here. The numbers have got to be up. I mean, it's just my own thought. I mean, everybody's got dogs and cats, and multiple sometimes.
They do. I'm looking at things, and I know I just kind of looked at the numbers beforehand. I think estimated about 9,100 dogs across the county. And then we also have like 6,600 cats, I think, that we have, and then about 900 birds that we have. So that's kind of the three we focused on. And then I have them broken down by cities and also by townships. So that is something that, something that we do plan for that maybe sometimes the public isn't aware of. So.
Thank you. Any more questions for Kevin? Thank you.
You don't have any turtles in there, huh?
We don't right now, but I can add that if you want. So.
Turtles and snakes. There's a little everything nowadays.
Yeah, there's a variety of everything out there, that's for sure. So. Okay.
Board's wishes. Motion made by Commissioner Nagel to approve the emergency operations plan. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wright. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Public Works, John.
Good morning. A few items for you today. Item A is to consider purchase of a Ferris 72-inch lawnmower from L&P Supply out of Hutchinson. Net cost of that is $7,330 plus tax. And that does include the trade-in of a 2015 Ferris mower with 1,300 hours on it. And we did have another quote from Bobcat out of Dassel, Minnesota for a similar zero-turn mower for a net price of $9,630.24.
Any questions for John on the purchase?
Move to approve the Ferris on the Parks budget.
Motion made by Commissioner Wright to approve the purchase of the new mower. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Smalls. Any other discussion?
Question, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
For John. John, are we on a rotation to rotate these mowers out as they get hours accumulated on them?
Yeah, I was talking to one of the operators, Steve, and he says they typically turn them around 1,500 hours. That seems to have been the best trade values over the years for when to get rid of them and when to get a new one. So, yeah.
I see the other quote was for Bobcat. No, I mean, that's really not out. I mean, Bobcat makes it better. I mean, or supposedly is a better quality deal. So are you comparing apples to apples, or have you ever considered?
I think they're
if you
comparable.
make that switch, you're never going to get a comparable price.
Yeah, over the years, they've had John Deere prices too for similar ones, and I mean, they're all in that ballpark, I think.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item B, we'd like to consider hiring the following contractors on an on-call basis to assist with snow plowing on some of our county's municipal roads. This would be funding from our maintenance budget. So the first one will be William Mueller out of Hamburg, and they would plow County State Aid 107, which is our main street in Toledo. The rate for those, for Mueller's doing that road is $165 an hour, and that would be a typical plow truck, a tandem plow truck with the full plowing setup. Item B would be Chad Bandis out of Silver Lake, and that's plowing County Road 103 in Biskie. That's our letter. We have several roads that are 103 in Biskie. That's basically a letter E through town, is how we kind of call it. And that's at a rate of $69 an hour, and that is just for a pickup truck. So if you see the discrepancy in the price, that's why. Item C, it would be hiring the city of Broughton to assist with plowing our county roads 25 and 32 in Broughton, and that's at a rate of $150 an hour for a typical plow truck or a motor grader, I think, one of the two. Another thing I'll add to this, just yesterday, we did have 2 new maintenance workers start, and we actually have another one starting on January 3rd. So the likelihood of needing these folks are probably pretty nil right now. But we'd still like the option to consider it.
Wishes of the board?
Move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Wright to approve the contracts as needed with these 3 individuals. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Schmalz. Any more discussion? I just want to emphasize that, and I questioned it as well, and the difference is in the trucks. I mean, it's still a comparable job. It's just done with different size vehicles. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item C, this is a long one. So the first one is to consider purchase of 3 2023 Mack tandem chassis from Nuss Trucking Equipment out of Roseville. That's at a state contract price of $134,457 plus tax, or a total of $429,690. And the second piece of that is to purchase 3 truck equipment packages from Towmaster Truck Equipment out of Litchfield. State contract price for those are $145,904, or a total of $437,000. So the net, these are would be for 3 new snowplows for calendar years 22 and 23, but most likely delivery in 2023. The net price of those trucks is $289,000 and $289,134, I believe. That $283,61, I had a mistake on that. But yeah, so with new fully equipped snowplows, around $289,000. We currently have 1 snowplow in the 22 budget, 2 snowplows in the 23 budget, and the build dates of these trucks are 12 months out. Build dates for the equipment from Towmasters has been pushing 18 months plus. You recall we bought those 2 new super trucks in December of 2020 last year. Right now, the delivery of those is looking like sometime in January for the first one and March for the second one. So we're getting really backed up on those. The trucks would replace 3 Sterling trucks basically from 2000 model years 2005 and 2006. They vary from anywhere from 122,000 miles up to 174,000 miles. And those trucks would be traded or sold at the time of delivery for these future ones. So we'll come back to the board to, at that time when we get the other trucks, to dispose of those. One thing with the, if you ask, can we hang on to the Sterlings longer? My mechanic's shop foreman tells me certain Sterling parts are obsolete now. The spreader controls on the trucks do not have replacement parts available, requiring upgrading into the newer style. One thing with the Max, the new trucks have been more fuel efficient. The old Sterlings were getting 2.5 to 3 miles per gallon when they're plowing and so forth. New ones are getting 4 to 5. So they are more efficient. Of course, they are costly, but right now our current trucks, our tandems, are at a rotation of probably 17 years by the time we get the new ones. So that's really pushing the life of them, pushing more maintenance on them, pushing, if you turn them around a little earlier, we can maybe get more trade value too, but they're really, they've kind of seen their life. So that's the rationale for coming right now for, trucks that are 2 and 3 years out, because the build dates are so far out. One more note, I should say, the equipment prices have increased, roughly 2 to 3%. This year, compared to last year, these trucks are up like 12% plus from what I'm understanding.
Yeah, John, so remind me, when the super trucks, I always have a hard time getting my head around that, but anyway, was there a plan just to do 2 of them that way, or were you wanting to go that direction as a whole?
It was 2 because we just really have two tractors to pull the semi-trailers.
So this isn't,
These are.
you're not switching back to these, it's just we only needed those.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, these would, the 3 here today would be our typical standard snowplow. Yeah. The two super trucks that can switch off the Sanders to pull semi-trailers in the summer, just because we only have a couple. If we want to get one more trailer down the road, or if we feel the need, I think the next truck we can look at getting another one of those super trucks.
And then the goal was then we could have, honestly, 2 less trucks because we didn't need,
Yeah, as soon as we get those trucks, we'll
We can
sell
move those
the
other ones.
semi-tractors, so we'll reduce the fleet. Yep,
Yep.
correct.
And with the lead time that's out there, you really have to think out ahead. I mean, there's stuff, some of this stuff is not coming for virtually years down the road.
Yeah, these expenditures here most likely won't be till '23, maybe '22 for the one at the end of the year if we get lucky with the chassis, but it'd be 2 and 3 years out.
Any more questions for John?
Yeah, John, are the prices locked in even if we're, let's say, 2 years out here with the order?
There is one thing they mentioned, if we do it now, there was a price increase coming in April for Towmaster, I believe, and probably for Max on the next model year, but these are locked in now, yes.
And that, again, I just want to emphasize that. I don't want to call that a rationalization. I think that's good management to try and lock in some of them things. I wish I had a gross number on that fuel economy, because that's a bigger number than a lot of people think. Plus the chemicals on the unit side, they are making some of the new stuff a little bit more resistant to chemicals, but some of that old stuff really eats that stuff up. And then I was kind of, I did question this and went through it quite a bit, and not being able to get parts, that's another one that threw me. I mean, it doesn't do any good to have a truck new or old if it can't run.
The other thing, I guess, if you like that end of it, they're more environmentally friendly probably with the DEF now and all that sort of thing, but it doesn't lighten the pocketbook at the end of the day.
I realize that.
Well, I think you brought up some important points. I mean, there's a lot of money here, obviously, but with last year's purchases, you're looking at overall fleet reduction. You're looking at an 18-month potential time period before we can see these trucks. And as far as your maintenance costs, your fuel efficiency, I mean, everything is going in the right direction. So it's very well warranted, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Wright to approve these purchases. Is there a second?
second.
Seconded by Commissioner Nagel. Is there any more discussion?
What's happening next year for projections?
As far as,
More purchasing of trucks?
there won't be any truck purchases in '22. No, we have one in the budget now for '22. 2 of these would be in upcoming budgets in '23,
So we're going to have a year off or 2 years off?
we would have 2 years off of trucks. '23, I want to say I'd have to pull it up, but there's no more trucks till if we look at a 2024 period.
It's not really a year off, right? We're just doing it today.
You're correct, yeah. Yeah, it's not, yeah, you're approving them now, but the expenditures won't be till that year. Yeah, but this is the bulk of the major capital equipment for a couple of years for that account.
And
How important is this third truck for pulling a trailer if we're 2 years out? Why not take one of these and order it for that third truck for pulling a trailer?
quite honestly, I asked the same question and when I was going through the agenda, and I think it's important, and I was going to comment. I don't think it's necessary for this purchase because the lead times, things are set in, prices are set, but I think it's real important to watch that. You know, it doesn't do any good for the third tractor if we don't have the third trailer. So, I mean, it's a coordination of management to make sure we get it ordered in time if you're going to go down that road.
Yeah, and I think what the, understanding what the guys are telling me, I mean, the 2 trailers we use quite a bit, and the third one, at this time, we don't really need the third
So
tractor.
we wouldn't need a third.
No,
truck.
that's,
At
we
least
don't
not
believe
for
so. I
now.
mean, if things change down the road, we would do that, like you said.
And we still have until we decide to do that, we still have the old tractor.
Correct.
But with the lead times that are out there, I mean, I think in the conversations we had and what I'm seeing here, I think you're aware of the lead times, and that's the big thing right now.
Yeah.
One more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And item D is to consider approval of professional services agreement with 95 West Aerial Mapping. They're out of Grand Forks, North Dakota. This will be for our spring flight of 2022 orthophotos or the aerial photography. These would be 4-inch orthophotos. Then the total cost for that is $48,669 with funds from the GIS budget. However, we do have cost participation agreements, as in previous years when we've flown these, flown the county. City of Brownton, Glencoe, Hutchinson, Plato, Silver Lake, and Winstead have partnered with us for a contribution of $22,117. So the McLeod County's portion would be $26,552 of that. We did receive a handful of other quotes, anywhere from $47,950 up to $99,000. The Ayers one, which we are, the 95 West one is a hair more than the second quote from Ayers, which was $47,950. However, we would like to go with the 95 West because the Ayers, 95 West does not have a subcontractor for the flying, which allows for a better coordination. And Ayers also indicated that there would be additional fees for ground control. And 95 West had those fees included. So when you add up all that, I think we're better off going with 95 West.
John, can you just go over what this does for us?
Yeah, so the aerial photos, if you go on the GeoMoose website or the aerial parcel mapping, if folks go online for that, that's the high accuracy parcel or high accuracy aerial photography that you can zoom in and look around at, whatever you want in the county. We typically have been flying it every 4 years, so the last set of data on the website, the most recent one is 2018, so it's nice to update those every 4 years to, they're used by the ditch system quite a bit. I think the assessor's office uses them regularly. A host of county departments look at stuff. We use them all the time in the highway department to look at stuff. Oftentimes it saves countless trips of driving out in the field and looking at stuff. You got Google Photos and all those sort of things, but these are, they're scaled and they're to accuracy and so forth. So it's a good tool for us.
Yeah, I emphasize the time saving. From when I deal with Ryan and him, when we can pull up this stuff, it's unbelievable. It saves so much time. And I think we committed to this a couple of years back to keep this rolling.
And for historical purposes too, we still keep the old photography on there. So if you want to look at, what it was a few years back, for whatever reason you're using it for, that's available too.
As well as it's available to everyone.
Correct.
It's not,
this is free
it's
for
not just for us.
Right.
I just want to emphasize that as well. If you're able to maneuver your way into the system, you can. I know farmers that are using it, and different landowners are using it. It's saving a lot of, and the accuracy has been the most important issue that we've had. So.
Yeah, I'll point out too, it's very important for our internal departments to use, but there's a lot of external users, like Doug had mentioned, farmers. I know a lot of guys that are on there, when they're doing their tiling and so forth, and so it's very, very well used, and we have a pretty sharp GIS department to be able to handle all that as well. So I know it's been in their budget, it's definitely needed, so move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Wright to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Smalls. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And the last item, we got some good news a couple weeks ago from the Department of Employment and Economic Development. If you recall, we applied for a Transportation Economic Development Infrastructure Grant for the future County Road 5 corridor between County Road 1 and County Road 9. And we were notified a couple weeks ago that we did receive a $750,000 Teddy grant for that project. So that's good news. When we looked at the news release that Deed sent out, $750,000 was the max that we could apply for and receive the max, so that was good news.
Thank you guys for everybody that worked on it. That is really good news, and it's going to be good for McLeod County.
Yeah, if we didn't have Winstead, City of Winstead in there, they were an integral part of it. A lot of their expansion and their economic development going on along that corridor was key to helping us receive this grant. So Adam Burkholz, the city administrator, was going to try to get here today, but had some other commitments. But no, it's been a good partnership working with Winsted, and we look forward to that corridor getting constructed in hopefully 2023.
John, what's the total cost of that?
Project right now is estimated around $3 million.
Thank you.
Being Adam couldn't get here, I'll just throw in a plug for Adam. Adam's a hard worker. He works day and night on this kind of stuff, and he realizes the importance, and he's doing a good job for Winston, which helps us as the county, so.
That's it, no action needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. County Attorney, Mr. Young.
So opioid litigation has been in the news lately. There is a proposed settlement with two of the parties. One is the distributors, excuse me, and then the Janssen. The total amount that Minnesota's likely to get out of this is about $180 million. The amount that McLeod County is going to get is 0.5646% of that, which comes out to just over $1 million. And that is over 18 years, so about $55,000 per year. Now, that is the most that we're eligible for, and the amount that Minnesota gets is going to be dependent on the participation of local units of government. So what I'm asking for you to do today is to approve the resolution that I have in your packet. That approves our participation in the settlement. That's the first thing that I'm going to ask you to do. Then the second thing that I'm going to ask you to do is to adopt a resolution that authorizes me on your behalf to execute the Minnesota Opioids State Subdivision Memorandum of Agreement, the Distributor Subdivision Settlement Participation Form, and the Janssen Subdivision Settlement Participation Form. And we have to do all this by the 2nd of January.
Is there any questions for Mike or any clarification? I think you did a good job explaining it.
Any direction on where that money can be used or restrictions on that yet?
It is there are restrictions on it. It's mostly going to go into Barrett's budget for treatment and payment of consequences of opioid addiction, such as child protection, out-of-home placements, chemical dependency treatment, things like that. None of the law enforcement costs that have been incurred are going to be reimbursed out of this pot. And this isn't the end of it. You have heard about the Sackler settlement that got rejected. That's not a part of this. So there is other litigation that is ongoing. This is one segment of it. And we'll be coming back to you over probably the next 3 years.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Mike, so you said that it's up to $55,000 per year. And what was the total? That is the maximum total.
Okay,
Again?
maximum total for the state of Minnesota is $180 million. McLeod County's share is 0.5646%. So a little more than 0.5% of that 180 million. And that gets paid out over 18 or 19 years.
Okay. And then the payment, the money stays with the state. The state distributes it to the counties throughout those 18 years?
Well, the interesting, 25% of the total amount that the state gets is staying with the state. 75% is going directly to the counties. For instance, Hennepin County is going to get 24.6% of that amount. So what the goal was here, if you recall with the tobacco money, the state got all the money, and in the third year, then they took the money and balanced the budget with it. So the money didn't go toward where it was intended to go. By getting it directly to the counties, it's going to go where it's supposed to go.
Thank you.
legislative.
Mr. Young, how do they, do you know how they based it or what ratio they looked at? I mean, did all counties, or did it actually go to a, I mean, I just looking at it, I know there's 87 counties and 180 million. Of course, I don't have all the percentages off first, but that's not a really balanced, if you're balancing it out in counties, so they must have used the population, or how did they come up with those?
I have each county's allocation. Some cities are getting an allocation. How they came up with the formula, I haven't a clue. But I'm sure it's based upon population,
That's good, yeah.
at least in part.
Mr. Chair, I'd move to approve Resolution 21 CB40, McLeod County's participation in the multi-state settlement agreement regarding opioids.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Nagel and seconded by Commissioner Schmalz. It's Resolution 21 CB40. Is there any more discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
This is something that was presented to us at the AMC annual conference a couple weeks ago, and they stressed the importance of our participation as a county in signing on and meeting these deadlines, which will result in a larger piece of the pie with the distribution of the money.
Yeah, and I will comment also that, I mean, I know Mr. Young was on top of this from the start, so I guess that's important to recognize that as well. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Then the second resolution that I'm asking is that you authorize me on your behalf to execute the following: the Minnesota Opioids State Subdivision Memorandum of Agreement, the Distributor Subdivision Settlement Participation Form, and the Janssen Subdivision Settlement Participation Form. And I believe that the letter from the Attorney General is in your packet. That is the second box on that page.
Move to approve.
A motion's been made to approve, and is there a second?
Second.
Second, how do we actually head this? I mean, what do we want to call this?
This is a resolution authorizing me to execute these 3 participation agreements on your behalf.
And there is no number at this time for the resolution, or is there? I'm not seeing one, and it may be there, but.
Do you want to give it a resolution number, Liz or Sheila?
I mean, just for the sake of reference, I'd like to, I mean, it'd be nice to have, and maybe one here that I'm not finding, but I'm not finding it.
I think the next one would be 21 CB 41, but I'm just pulling up my list to verify.
Can we confirm that in the minutes, Mr. Chair?
Sure.
Thank you.
We will, I would just add that it should be 21 CB 41, but you'll confirm that and it'll be in the minutes. All in favor of approving this, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then as long as I got the podium or the microphone, I should notify you that we received the opinion from the Court of Appeals yesterday on South Garden and Crane Garden, the solar energy conditional use permit applications up by Winstead. This was the second appeal, and we were unsuccessful in defending our denial of the conditional use on the basis of prime ag land. So the Court of Appeals has reversed that. Once judgment is entered, it'll be coming back before you in about 30 to 45 days, maybe 60 days.
Thank you.
All I can say is that I guess we'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it. Thank you for the information. County Administration, do you have anything before we go to calendars?
I don't.
Okay, calendars. Commissioner Lukens?
Pass for now.
Okay.
Mr. Wright?
Yep. Let's see here. Last time we met, we had our meeting with elected officials, board meeting, finished the evening with TNT. The next day we had department head. Then a couple days after, attended meeting the South Fork One Watershed One Plan. That is a watershed area including Renville County, Meeker, McLeod, Candy, Ojai, and Carver. And it looks like we're in for a few years of meetings to put that plan together and then submit to Bowser, hopefully for some funding on some projects here. Our Soil and Water Conservation District is acting as a facilitator for the group, and I've been selected chairman of that. Randy Kramer will be from Renville County as vice, and Matt Melberg of Renville County is secretary. So then after that, yesterday, we met as the full board on our Solid Waste Advisory Committee.
All right, since our last meeting was covered, we had Truth and Taxation, met with elected officials. We also had department head on 14th by Zoom. Commissioner Wright talked about the South Fork Crow One Watershed One plan, and I'm very happy with the selection they made on the team to run that. As Paul said, he's the chair, and we're sitting right in the middle of it, so it's starting off good, and it's well needed to focus on some of the problems we have with water here in McLeod County. I also on Monday, the 16th, I believe it was Monday or Tuesday, I can't even remember, but it's we met with the state auditor on an exit meeting. That was the first one I had ever attended. It was quite the learning experience on how the auditing is done. Colleen and Sheila both sat in, and it was basically a listening thing for me, and it was educational. And also that day I sat in on the federal infrastructure plan. Commissioner Schmaltz and Commissioner Luthens were both at that meeting, so I'll let them comment on it. Had agenda review on the 16th for our meeting today. And then I also, on my own, I sat in on the Indian Lake management. It's a lake in Sibley County close to a property that I have, and the reason I really went, it drains into some ditch systems that we are, it ends up draining into ditch systems that we have joint powers on, so I was curious to see what the plans were on that. They're putting working on putting a control structure in that lake, something like we did on Ward's Lake, and I mean, it's got its bumps, but I guess that's the things to do to clean up some of this water, as long as we stay aware and manage it. The DNR and DU are putting in the money. That's just starting now, so we'll see where it goes. And yesterday we had our SWAC, I believe it's SWAC, our full committee meeting in Hutchinson on our waste, solid waste. So it brings.
I think everything's been, for the most part, ENT here, budget meetings and phone calls, but also like to tell the board I got the opportunity to see the annual Minnesota Angus banquet, and welcome them to McLeod County. They use our grounds to house the cattle for a sale, and but they also stay in local hotels, eat at local restaurants. Two families totally separately even commented on the area and the stores they frequent when they're here every year, and they said how much they love them, and they mentioned how much Target loves them when they leave here at the end of the weekends. So thank them for coming. Thanks to the fairground staff for helping to facilitate that. It's a lot of work, and hopefully we can draw some more of that into our fairgrounds. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Chair, since our last meeting, as the other commissioners mentioned, we had our annual meeting with our elected officials on the 13th, and a regular board meeting, and Truth and Taxation at 6 that same evening. And then on Thursday the 16th, I attended the Minnesota Transportation Alliance meeting that was held in Chaska. Daryl attended in person, I attended in person, and our Public Works Director, John, attended in person. I think the key takeaway of us attending is that we could give input on where we want some of these MnDOT dollars spent in the future years coming. So at the end of the session, they did a poll, which we responded to, giving our input on future expenditures, like Ed mentioned. And then brings us to yesterday, Monday, Solid Waste Advisory Committee meeting in Hutchinson. Thank you.
Sheila?
The only note that I have to add is that we did sit in that audit exit review meeting with Commissioner Kruger. They have the chair of the board join that now, which is good. Gives them a good explanation of what the information means that they provide to our finance director, so Colleen and I will review that with the board at our next workshop. So thank you for doing that.
And I know we're going to have it at that workshop, and it's just but for who's ever watching, the chair was addressed on the agenda, so I thought I'd better go, and I'm glad I did anyway, but it gives you an idea of what our bookkeepers have to go through and how accurate they have to be, and it just gives you a whole different perspective, perspective on what needs to be done. So.
And Commissioner Nagel has helped us with that throughout this year as well, because they have the past chair help also. So thank you both for your assistance with that this year, because it can be a lot of information, and Colleen Roback and her team have done a nice job. So thank you.
I guess we can just keep moving along, Sheila. Thank you.
Thank you. Item A, consider approval of proposal from Foster Mechanical to upgrade the makeup air unit at the McLeod County Courthouse and Law Enforcement Center for a cost of $102,220 using American Rescue Plan Act funds. The current unit was installed in 1982. It has surpassed its life expectancy. The county received an additional proposal from B&R Plumbing and Heating from Winthrop. That was a cost of $105,807. The Budget Committee and Coronavirus Relief Funds Committee approved and recommended approval of the use of ARPA funds for this upgrade. This would be our first larger expenditure from those dollars. This is an eligible expense for the guidelines, and there were no concerns from either of those committees when we went over asking for approval to be recommended.
Do we need to approve the expenditure and the part coming out of the funds? Is it, or can we do that all in one?
They're in one. You're just approving which account that it would come from, because the Coronavirus Relief Fund Committee already and the Budget Committee already voted for approval.
Mr. Chair, move to approve request.
Motion made by Commissioner Smalls to approve the request for the air handling unit. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wright. Any more discussion? I would just note that that's running all the time, and it has served, I guess it's, other than some expenses, it served us pretty well, so. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you. A lot of other counties and municipalities used dollars from the first round of the CARES Act for some of their air quality improvements in their facilities. Item B goes alongside of that. Consider approval of bid from NAC to upgrade the controls for the new makeup air unit at the McLeod County Courthouse and Law Enforcement Center at a cost of $4,736 with funds again from the American Rescue Plan Act. The Budget Committee and Coronavirus Relief Funds Committee recommended approval of the use of the ARPA funds for this upgrade.
Mr. Chair, move to approve request.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Spall, seconded by Commissioner Nagel to approve this $4,736 with funds coming from the ARPA. Any more discussion on it? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Colleen will present the next item.
Morning, Colleen.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm asking today for you to consider the approval of the 2022 final tax levy. The preliminary levy was set on September 20th, 2021 at $25,909,283, which was a 3% increase over the 2021 levy. The 2022 budget and tax levy was presented to the public on December 13th at the Truth and Taxation hearing, showing a 10-year average increase in the tax levy of 3.5%. This 3% increase will maintain consistent growth without major spikes in the tax levy.
Board, any questions for Colleen?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
when we set the preliminary levy, there was a lot of discussions on what that dollar amount, or often we speak in percentages, would be. There was some discussion to go higher with it and then bring it down. I was a fan of just setting it where we could live within it, and that was discussed in length, and that was the 3% number, or the number presented. So with that, I am, from the Budget Committee standpoint and a board member, I'm satisfied that we've done our due diligence, and I would recommend approval of the 3%, or the $25,909,283.
And that is a motion, Commissioner.
It is.
Motion made by Commissioner Nagel to approve the 3% increase in the levy. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, I'll just add on top of Joel's comments, we've learned our lesson by undershooting this in the past. It just causes too many ups and downs, and I think we need to be more responsible with that and try and stay at an even keel number, and that 3% is kind of where we're at. We've selected that number. We will be using some fund balance, but we kind of built that in from way back, so we knew that was going to happen. We take a look at what our departments are doing to try and manage costs, and we saw a supreme example of when Mr. Brunkhorst came forward today with a grant of $750,000. We have many departments that are always in search of bringing money in other than levy dollars to manage the costs and county expenses. So I believe that this is, like Commissioner Nagel said, that this is the right number to move forward with today.
Any more discussion? My comment would just be to agree with the two commissioners that sit on the Budget Committee. We were in contact. I appreciated that we hit the 3% number early and stuck with it. That's pretty much what we need to stop from, my words, using a boomerang effect. Just try to stay in there. That's where some of our contracts are based on, and again, it's been transparent from day one, so I'm okay with it. Hearing no more discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Item D, consider setting the 2022 McLeod elected official salaries. We'll treat each item separately. We're going to start out with item A for the county attorney. I've met with our finance director, the budget committee, well, she is part of the budget committee, of course, and making a recommendation of a range for our county attorney's salary for 2022. His 2021 salary is $128,131. I'm recommending a range increase from that amount up to $131,975 to $133,897. That's reflecting in between a 3% and a 4.5% increase. And you might be asking why I would make that recommendation. We do know that our recommended increases for our other employees at the county have gone through already, and those are not statutorily treated separately. However, in 2021, our elected officials received a 1.5% increase. So I looked at the numbers and worked with Colleen Roback, made recommendations to the budget committee, and this is where I come out. So again, the county attorney's current 2021 salary is $128,131. I'm recommending to increase their salary in between $131,975 to $133,897.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
And just to add some discussion, and this will follow for, excuse me, all of the elected officials that we're about to take action on. The setting the levy, setting the salaries, and then our own are often some of the three hardest motions to make as we wrap up the year. But Budget Committee, Commissioner Nagel and I looked at definitely looked at the reduced amount that we raised electeds by last year with that 1.5% that our administrator said. And we did that because of the state of the economy last year, the uncertainty, and that is why we felt that was how we moved forward last December. And that's not the case this year. I think that is very obvious that our elected officials have worked very, very hard to manage their departments through all the ups and downs and uncertainties of the last year, and there's absolutely no reason to think that we have to look at a reduced amount as to their peers or as to the employees that they supervise. So we looked at the surrounding counties, what have they been doing and what should we be doing to be in comparison. And I guess at this point I think we believe in that $131,975, and so that'll be my motion.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Wright and seconded by Commissioner Nagel to approve the $131,975 salary for 2022 for the county attorney. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item B is for the Auditor Treasurer 2022 salary. The Auditor Treasurer 2021 salary is $89,295. I'm recommending between $91,974 to $93,313 for their 2022 salary. Again, looking at comparisons as Commissioner Wright extended that information, the decisions made last year, competitive salary in the area, of course, being elected officials is a little bit different, but the range that, again, I am recommending is between $91,974 and $93,313 for an increase for their 2022 salary.
Mr. Chair, I'll state the motion at $91,974.
And I can second it again.
Motion made by Commissioner Wright and seconded by Commissioner Nagel to set the salary for 2021 for the auditor at $91,974. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item C, Recorder, their 2021 salary being at $83,628 annually. Recommending the 2022 salary be between $86,137 and $87,391.
Mr. Chair, I'll move the recorder salary be set at $86,137.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Nagel, set it at $86,137. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote to set the salary for 2021 for the recorder at $86,137. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And then finally, item D, for the sheriff, whose salary is currently at $103,901, making a recommendation to set their 2022 salary between $107,018 and $108,577. I do want to make one note that I probably should have at the beginning that you are already aware of, but these elected officials do have the right to appeal any wage decisions from the board. Not that that's expected, and that's not what I'm conveying. I just should have noted that for you at the beginning.
I'm just going to make just a little statement. I haven't said anything to the point, so our budget committee has done their due diligence and worked hard on that, but being we got a new sheriff and we structured, I'm not going to go into the history of how he got where we want, but I'd like the consideration of how he got where he is, and then that job is a tough job. Now, I want no part of that job. Just standing and trying to advise is enough for me, but I would just like that thought in the consideration of setting those wages.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I would move, set the sheriff's salary at $107,018.
Second that.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Nagel and seconded by Commissioner Wright to set it at $107,018. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Moving to item E, consider adopting Resolution 21-CB-38, setting the 2022 McLeod County Commissioner salary per diem and mileage reimbursement rates. The commissioners in 2021, again, they're at $31,761. Meeting with the Budget Committee, this was really difficult. Of course, this is difficult for a board to discuss their own salary in the first place. But I did go through this carefully with the finance director and looking at surrounding counties, their different wage structures for their board, and their different salary per diems and mileage. I was recommending that they look at making up for what they did not take last year in an increase. And of course, that's difficult for them to look at, but I don't know where you guys will stand today. So with your 2021 salary being at $31,761, I would at least hope that there will be some sort of increase for yourselves. There are increased expenses to doing your job in the past 2 years. We know that increases affected everyone in our employment, and that does not skip you. There are also a lot more hours that have had to be put in and more meetings than probably ever before. My recommendation is to set the commissioner's salary for 2022 between $32,714 and $33,190 annually. And then the per diem and mileage, I would recommend have no change. So that would be at $75 for half day, $125 for full day, and the mileage would stay at 35 cents per mile. We've spoken about mileage over the past couple of years, and it's been an anomaly because the pandemic, for almost all of 2020, we were working remotely, correct, for meetings. So that makes it hard. We have reduced our fleet purchases, and we have had fleet vehicles that we've taken out of rotation that were not replaced or moved around to where they could be used more. We need that 2021 data to make good decisions about the 2022 fleet vehicles. That may change my recommendation to the Budget Committee and to the board for mileage next year. But after going through everything, it wasn't recommended by the Budget Committee to make a change in mileage this year, and I don't recommend differently for the board. Do you need anything repeated, since I went through way too much?
Board, any questions for Sheila?
Well, I'll just jump in, break silence on that one. I think every year this is declared to be the most awkward motion of all. The commissioner's salary is roughly anywhere from a fourth to a third of what other electeds are paid, but it is a different type of a role, that there's per diem and mileage built into that as well. There's been a lot of talking on this one. What should we do? in the end, I think you have to pay the position and maintain that position's placement. As I stated before, within the peers, comparing to how other counties are approaching this, our recommendation is to stay with that 35 cents a mile, the 75 or half day, 125 for full, and that the salary be placed at $32,714. That is a motion.
Okay, board, you heard the motion, the 75, 125 for per diem, 35 cents a mile, 32,714. Is there a second to that motion? I will
Mr. Chair,
second that
sorry, it's 32,714.
Yep,
I'm sorry.
32,714, yep.
I will second that motion. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is tough. I mean, honestly, that's the highest I would want to go. And in the discussions, I was fine staying exactly where we are. Other counties seem to be increasing substantially more for whatever reason. But I just want to welcome everybody that wasn't on the budget committee to have some discussion about this, because it is difficult, it is awkward, but we have to answer for it also.
And again, it's very awkward, and I'll speak as well. And I didn't run for this position for the money anyway, but I will caution everyone in the years to come. I think this motion was probably thought out well, and I think it's again in an awkward situation. But in years to come, if you want good quality people to sit up here, and I would hope that people with a better understanding of how our future runs and have an interest in McLeod County would step up. That's going to be something that's going to have to be looked at in the future. And we have I'll talk about that later. That's the comment on this motion. Any others? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And just to finish my chain of thought on what I was just saying is that we've got a pretty good staff, and in fact, I'll say pretty damn good staff. But and that's what makes us look good or bad. And I think we got a staff that's working hard and cares. And just for the public's sake, it takes, unfortunately, in today's world, it takes some money to keep these people, and so it's hard for us to make these decisions because it's your money. But I'm going to comment again on some of the other spending we did today. It's about the efficiencies that we can do and hope to keep our staff, keep their morale up and in these times and work together as a team. It's never been my favorite word, but we're doing pretty well, and I'm proud of that. So I'll leave it go at that.
Mr. Chair, I just want to note that 3% in increases, obviously, we've talked about this throughout the year. I know this is not popular to talk about, but I have to bring it up as it comes up. It doesn't get us where we need to be as a competitive employer. And I know it's public dollars that we spend, but we also have the responsibility to maintain a staff that can provide services. And we do continue to have turnover like others. And we have a lot of competition locally, and that's not going to change. We have a tough couple of years coming up. Our union contracts expire soon, and I just want to be very straightforward so that this doesn't look like a resolution to our problems of wages. It is not. And we will continue to have tough times like everyone else is having.
Thank you, Sheila. And the reason I said that, again, I'm truly not rationalizing. If we don't have an atmosphere for our employees to want to stay here, there's jobs everywhere. I learned it at AMC, and I'm learning it at more. I mean, if people are willing to move and change, it's everywhere. Everything I'm on, we're running short of staff, and unfortunately, sometimes it turns into dollars, and the dollars don't seem to be always as important as the work atmosphere. So I think we have to really try. It's tough times, so we'll play it by ear.
And Mr. Chair, I just want to note too that our employees overall have been very respectful about these items. They do enjoy their jobs, they do enjoy their work environment, but it is a changing time. So I don't say it with any disrespect to anyone or any decisions for improvements that the board has done. It is appreciated by them, and it is a hard topic for them to bring up as well, to talk about their own wages, as it just is, it's tough for you to talk about your own. So I just don't want to give the impression that everything is solved, because it'll take quite a bit more work, and we have been working on that behind the scenes with Hannah, our employee relations director, and some departments that have had a very tough time staffing. John Brunkhorst has lost staff in Public Works and Barrett Spores in Health and Human Services, and our Sheriff Tim Langenfeld has had a very difficult time staffing the Sheriff's Office, jail, and communications. So we just want to make sure that we're communicating well.
And the only reason that I'm not trying to shorten up this conversation is because for the people that are out there, if you have questions about that, see us. I mean, you can talk to our department heads or our staff. I mean, just to lay it out there, we're good for this year. I think we did our due diligence, and I think we need to move on. But I do have a question, Sheila. Do we have, I see here there's actually two motions, one for the per diem and mileage, and one for the...
No, that's the next one. That's for committee members. Yeah.
I took it in, I think I read it into the first motion.
That's okay. Thank you, though, to the board for the work into the budget committee, because it is not easy. So item F, considering adopting resolution 21-CB-39, setting the 2022 McLeod County Committee member per diem and mileage reimbursement rates. Again, budget committee and myself recommend no change at $75 for half day, $125 for full day, and 35 cents per mile for committee member per diem and mileage reimbursement rates.
Again, I read it into the first motion, so we should strike that part of it in the minutes, whatever, but
I didn't know you said committee member, I'm sorry.
I didn't
Do
say
we have to make
committee.
any change?
No, it's fine.
Okay,
We needed a per diem to read.
all right. Are we okay to proceed, Mike? Thank you.
I'll move on resolution 21-CB-39.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Kruger and seconded by Commissioner Nagel to approve resolution 21-CB-39. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you. Item G, consider authorizing County Attorney Michael Young and myself, County Administrator Sheila Murphy, to negotiate the terms of lease number 12420. That's to lease office space in the county courthouse to the State of Minnesota Department of Corrections for a lease period of 6 years, which would commence January 1st, 2022, with them moving in on or around January 3rd, and continue through December 31st, 2027. The total sum of all of the lease payments would be $106,229.16. I'll briefly go over the payment structure and lease period, because we would start out with a $1 per month lease period through 2022. The reason being, this office, we have asked them to move into our facility. We believe it's a good fit, and they do as well. However, they had a very long-term lease with another local, a local building downtown in Glencoe, and they will need to keep paying that. We would then, after, start getting $1,707.60 per month for 2023, and it goes up slightly over a couple of years, as you can see, with again, the total being $106,229.16 for the 6-year period. I did meet with them, I brought them through. We went over what furniture would stay. There would not be any structural changes needed. They would do well with utilizing our security. They're already in that facility. We have to provide the area that's upstairs to the juvenile corrections and lower level corrections, correct? However, this is the felony offices. They would be using the glass coverage office window that we had when we were in administration. It would not need modification. We went through everything. We would add in a few different security devices that don't change any of the structure. but they're very excited about this change, and I believe it's supported throughout the courthouse as well.
Mr. Young, you have any comments on this?
This makes good sense. It's going to be a better use of probation agents' time because they are going to be in the building, so when they have to testify, it's just walking upstairs instead of walking down the block, and they can go back to their office if we have a delay. It makes good sense for the clients, the criminals, because they're there anyway, and they won't get lost from the courtroom to the probation agent's office. At least they may still get lost, but they'll have less of an excuse this way. So it makes good sense.
Thank you. And my comment is just that when I first started reading this, I go, what? Then if you look at it on the 6-year period, it does make good sense. We have the space up there, and it's over the total number of years, I think it's a good idea.
Thank you.
Board, any questions?
Mr. Chair, move to approve request.
Motion made by Commissioner Smalls to approve. Is there a second? I will second it. Motion seconded by Commissioner Kruger. Any more debate or discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item H, a much easier one than the previous. Just a notification of our board workshop following the board meeting on January 4, 2022 at the McLeod County Government Center, 520 Chandler Avenue North here in Glencoe, Minnesota. Thank you.
That was strictly a notification, so open forum. Anyone who wish to address the board? Press relations, I see no press. Now we need to go into a closed meeting, and I don't believe there will be any board action after the meeting.
There will not be board action after the meeting. We will issue a summary of the review at the next meeting on January 4th. And I'll prepare that after we've had our closed meeting.
So we will, though, come back into recess our board meeting. So I take a motion to go into closed session.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Wright, seconded by Commissioner Nagel to go into closed session. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.